Al, Provost Abdurrahman, Dean Fahmy, fellow professors, distinguished guests, proud parents and supporting families, and finally, graduating students. I start by telling you you are lucky. I envy you. You are starting from where I ended, and I tell you a little story. I started my career as a consultant the same month I graduated. Dean Fahmy mentioned that I'm a computer engineer. I decided I will not work on development because if the system analysis is wrong, then the programs I'm writing or developing are definitely wrong. And then after a while, I recognized that, but if the business and financial model is wrong, then the system analysis for sure is wrong. And then I came to recognize, but if the policies and strategies that we have set are not correct, definitely we are devising the wrong business and financial model, until I finally came to the fact that if the governance model is wrong, everything in the state or the organization is wrong. You studied governance. You are lucky. It took me 19 years to discover that. Now you got it. Thankfully, I discovered that 4 years before I became a minister. And I have a little story to tell you over here. When I was nominated as a minister, I went to my dad to tell him, I must give you a little bit background. He was the president of the Court of Cassation, and he was the chairman of the Supreme Judiciary Council. Of course, you know, you would tend to think he's proud. His kid became among the top decision makers in his early 40s. He looks at me and says, you know what, Ahmed, I used to buy the chocolate that I present to my guests in my office from my own private money. And I look and say, wow, how many governance and public money policies he summarized in such short statement. Anyway, this is, let aside governance, and it's about time to congratulate you. You got excellent education from an excellent university, and I'm actually, of course, biased to those professors whom I know most of them and are close friends, and I know they did a great job. But congratulating you does not mean that I don't warn you. So I have a couple of warnings for you. My first warning is that you are used for someone to evaluate your performance and give you his opinion in the form of a grade. This gives you a sense of how well you did. Now, from now on, you'll have to do this yourselves. And you'd better do it early in the process before the public grills you. So you got to know how to evaluate yourself before you are being evaluated. My second warning is, Dean Fahmy touched upon it. Don't think that what you have learned here will keep taking you for a long time. It will be very short. If I reflect on myself one more time, I have to disclose my age with this one. I graduated the year a company called IBM announced a new product in the market called PC, personal computer. Believe it or not, I graduated with a major in computer, okay? So please, it's about continuous learning, but it's not only about continuous learning, it's about learning how to think in a new way. And I like to take this opportunity to make sure that you help us fight the resistance of government and politicians. They are trying to fit old structures to new disruptive technologies. It doesn't work, and it shows. We have lots of new concepts in terms of seamless integrated government, invisible government, interactive parliaments. Those concepts don't fit. I know Dean Fahmy gave me a few minutes, so I try to be brief. When we talk about democracy, it used to be about gathering people in a square and getting their opinion. When this became so hard, they decided to create a parliament. You go and nominate a representative, hoping that he will vote the way you like when something is presented. And most of the time, it's not true. Now we will have the technologies for more interaction so that our representatives in the parliament does not take it. And the list goes on and on in terms of the new disruptive technologies that comes directly into the public policy things. If I have an advice to tell you, usually people would tell you, try to take the advice of wise old people. I'll tell you just the opposite. Try to learn from babies who are trying to walk, toddlers. They fall, they try to walk, they fall, they try to walk. Every time they fall, this does not deter them from keeping to try. Doesn't matter if they fall. In fact, sometimes they even decide, maybe if we run, we will walk. And so they start running before they start learning to walk. And they explore everything. So the list goes on and on. Please select a job and a career that you love. Because if you love what you are doing, you will excel. Don't select a job or a career because it will pay you good money. Because money will come if you are the best in your job. You'll be the best in your job if you love your job, okay? This will help you to spend long times in your job without feeling that you are bored, without feeling you are pushed. Your job and your career is not a meal that you're going to eat and go. It's going to be your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so you'd better like it. And you are at the driving seat for your career. Don't let anybody to take this driving seat from you. Take life where you want to go. Don't let life take you wherever the life is going. I believe in God, I believe in destiny, but I also believe that God will help me if I decide to do something. You are going to be the leaders of the future, okay? So you have the choice. You could be a firefighter, act only upon crisis. You could be a populist, do whatever the public likes to be elected, whether it's wrong or right, and you could be a genuine leader. And here I recall what Rosalind Carter said about genuine leaders. They are leaders that will not take people where people want to be. They will take people where people ought to be. It's hard. Believe me, it's hard. But sometimes you need to do it. You know, the conductor of the orchestra, has to give his back to the audience in order to lead the orchestra. So, and if you want to be a leader, it's about the team. You are not going to rise except by the muscles of your team. You will rise for as much as they can carry you. So carefully select your team. And in order to have a happy environment in your team, make sure that you take a little bit more than your fair share of the blame and a little bit less than your fair share of the credit. I cannot finish my talk without I plead to you to put some sweetness in your life. Love, please. Life is really different, looks different, feels different, tastes different when we are in love. And I will just leave you with this observation to think about. In all languages I have encountered, there is always two words they differentiate between the brain and the mind. The brain is this thing inside our head, has neurons, it works in a physical way, but the mind is actually the result of the logic thinking and the decision making. But in all these languages, this is the mystery. In all these languages, it was never differentiated between the heart, which is the blood pump, and the heart that's the home of the love, the satisfaction, the serenity. Keep that in your heart. Usually they will tell you keep this in your mind. I tell you keep this in your heart. I know some of you are thinking now they got us this old guy to talk to us about love. Yes. You don't stop loving when you become old. You become old when you stop to love. Thank you very much. It was indeed an honor to select me to give the graduating speech. God bless you and good luck.